All right, hello and welcome. How is everyone doing on what I hope is a wonderful Tuesday, January the 18th, 2022? My goodness, I still can't believe we are in a new year, and I hope it is going well for everyone. John, how are you doing tonight?
All right, thanks. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, and thank you to 47 Yorktown, was here early today, dropping those dolphins. I swear that's like a pejorative on this channel. I don't know if I should allow this sort of talk to continue. But Josh Street was here as well, saying, Dolphin Boy, we demand Life with Amy and Babylon 5. Both those things may have to wait. I'm starting up a project that I suspect will take a lot of my time this year. It's a brand new plant, and hopefully, I mean, we just started sending the emails back and forth, and so, yeah, that we're gonna have to play it by ear. I want to do it with. I want to be watching this with Jeff, Professor Bernie Specs, who was here in the chat. But I honestly have no idea what my schedule is going to be like this year, guys. Just a heads up. Yeah, that's right, Josh. Matthew and plans don't mix well. They really don't. But I still want to do it. It's just a question of how are things going to turn out. I should hopefully know within a couple weeks, maybe a month. I should know by the time SeaQuest ends what my schedule is going to be like. And I say that intending SeaQuest to continue nonstop from this point on, provided Amy doesn't break another leg or arm or something.
I hope not.
And that's right. Before anyone gets too ahead of me, I am blaming my wife on SeaQuest being on hold right now, or had go on hold rather. Oh gosh, it is true though. It is true. I had to take care of the missus. It was a little more important. Professor stopped pushing Amy down the stairs. I didn't. I wasn't even home when it happened. Although, yes, it did involve the stairway. I thought that was quite... like that happened, I'm like, great. I am never living this one down. I wasn't even home and people would be like, yep, Matthew pushed the missus down the stairs. But I didn't. I literally was at the hospital with my oldest, trying to get him some asthma stuff cleared up. Anyway, pop culture curator, how are you doing tonight? Saying, hello, sir. Hope you and the family are doing well. I left a like. Take care. Well, thank you so much, Pop, for leaving that like. I hope that you're still around. I'm assuming you did that because you had to come in and go somewhere for the evening, which I certainly understand. We start late here. But that's so I can get the kids down and then have some quick evening fun before the day comes to a close here. And Thomas is right. My family does as well as they can for having me as their father. Thankfully they have Amy as their mother. That's all I can say. Without Amy as their mother, oh gosh, they would be so much worse off.
There's a lot of demand for Life with Amy.
You should. She is definitely the brains of this outfit. In fact, I tell my children that like so often. Like, look, the only person in this family who has a college degree is your mom. So you really need to be asking her these questions because they'll ask something and Amy will answer and they'll look at me. I'm like, what are you looking at me for? Your mom's the one with a college education. I don't know. Anyway, how are you doing tonight, Jeff? I'm glad that you are here. But Josh is claiming Amy isn't doing her job right since Dolphin Boy is here and won't let her host. Well, you know, she has that broken foot. She doesn't like to come up the stairs with it. It's doing better, though. I mean, she only needs the orthopedic boot to get around it. Get around now. And even that, she's able to take the boot off and kind of do that shimmy shuffle, you know? Getting around places. It's quite funny to watch. And I can't say these kind of things near her anymore because the past several months I've been able to make these wisecracks just out of arm's reach and know I'm pretty safe. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Hobble over to me? I don't think so. But I can't do that anymore. She can actually chase me down now. And oh crap, she's here. Hey, honey.
Great timing, Matthew.
How are you doing? I love you. Oh gosh. We are all very glad that you are here, my beloved. Yeah, that's right, Josh. I am throwing her under the bus, and I am also throwing myself under the bus, apparently, with great speed and a clarity, as I do. A red flag. Yeah. Throwing up those red flags.
Is there an emoji for a doorknob?
Ooh, I'm going to be in trouble for this one, but that's okay. My wife is phenomenally gracious. If she wasn't, I mean, we all know she wouldn't stick around for me. But thankfully, Amy is possessing the patience of a saint. No joke. She has the patience of two saints, because not only does she deal with me, she deals with an exact replica of me all day long. My oldest son is 100% me. So she has to deal with my nonsense all day long, and then he goes to bed, and then she has to deal with my nonsense all evening long. Like, she gets no escape. Yeah, and that's right. I did give her COVID. I 100% gave her COVID. I should just take a sip and shut up. But no,
Keep digging.
Oh yeah, I got an excavator at the rate I'm digging at this point. Forget a shovel. So I was trying to, something in my throat all day, and I kiss her on my way out the door. Like I went to a church event, and I'm like, oh, I'm fine. There's nothing to worry about. And I kiss her, and afterwards, Amy like, wait, you knew you weren't feeling good that day? Like, you were kind of all day, and you still chose to kiss me? I'm like, well, yeah. So I not only gave it to her, I gave it to her knowing I had a little frog in my throat anyway. So, I mean, you need proof I'm the worst, guys. It's all over the place. Like, there is no question. I am the worst. But at least I had the common sense. Like, I was feeling all right. I was figuring it's like a mountain cedar or something was bothering me that day. And then once I got there, I started to get like really, really tired and feeling not great. And so at the end, like, I was able to keep myself fairly separated from everyone. So at the end, they're like, oh, hey, we're going to break out into small groups now. You want to stick around? And I at least had the clarity of mind to be like, you know what? I should go. Like, I'm not feeling too great. I'm kind of feeling some tightness in the chest, maybe having some asthma problems. So I'm just going to go head out. Which is good, because then it turned out I had COVID. So, wasn't kind to my wife, apparently, but at least I was kind to people in my church. So, yeah. I'm making her cry. Yeah, Thomas, that's what I do. What I do. Like I said, I don't know why she puts up with me. I never mean it maliciously. I think that's why she puts up with me. I never mean it maliciously. I'm just that dumb that I do make her cry. Cried a lot. Quite a lot. I know, but I agree, Professor. Shame on me. I'm her, like, I'll say something, and then she'll start crying like, oh, that was the wrong thing to say.
Smooth.
That was not correct. Yeah, I'm sleeping in the doghouse tonight. Yeah, I am. I get, like, I have one of those loyalty cards. I sleep in there so much. And again, understand, Amy has the patience of a saint. She is by no means like one of these shrew women who's like, oh, you're sleeping on the couch. No. I push her to the point where it's like, I gave you a chance, Matthew. You had plenty of opportunities to walk away at any point from the cliff that you were approaching. But no. You just lemminged your way right over the edge. So, I mean, it's not Amy's fault. It's my fault right here. I mean, anyway. Amy, please, you've never slept on the couch. False. I have slept on the couch many times. It was just all by choice. Whenever I get like really bad allergies, my nose stuffs up, and we have a couch that is the best couch for getting propped up upright on. Like it's just so comfortable to sleep on. And then I can actually like keep one nostril half open so I can get some amount of sleep. But no, Amy has never kicked me to the couch. Yeah, it's a face palm.
So now you're going to call your wife a liar?
No. Just maybe forgetful. I don't know. We better start this show. I mean, I am.
Yes.
She's downstairs like, well, there's a first time for everything. I might as well get the pillow out for him. No, I have never slept on the couch because Amy's made me. But I have volunteered to sleep on the couch, either because I needed it to be able to sleep, or because I just didn't want to sleep next to her when she was sick. I'm all heart. She'll be throwing up her guts. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna sleep outside. Leave the door open. I'll hear you. I'll come help. But I'm just gonna sleep outside. No offense. I don't know. Moms, and specifically my wife, do not nearly get enough credit in life. That's what I'm trying to go for here.
You got the triple face palm now, by the way.
I should. She's downstairs probably yelling her phone, shut up, shut up, shut up. Not because she's annoyed.
Now you're going to leave. Good job.
Yeah. I'm going to go now. Oh, I love you, Amy. I'll see you in a little bit. No, she's probably face palming not because she's annoyed at anything I'm saying, but because she gets frustrated when I set myself up for being the butt of the joke, and she just can't stand it. She's like, Matthew, you set yourself up. Why are you setting yourself up? And I'm like, it's natural. I just talk, and here we are.
You can't help us at the scorpion.
It's right. That's exactly right. It's in my nature. Wise Indian sayings from someone who is not an Indian at all, or Native American for that matter. As long as what's more offensive these days? The fact that Chakotay was cast to be Native American, or me calling him Indian when he was supposed to be Native American?
Well, it's definitely got to be you, whatever you did.
True. It's a good baseline assumption to make there.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. How much rope does Matthew have left? Josh wants to know. Josh, my rope is endless. I will have a noose to the sun and back to hang myself with if I don't shut up. Amy, I'd lulled. Oh gosh, I love this woman so much. Robert Rose Jr., how are you doing tonight? Guys, let me go ahead and drop the link into the screening room. So if this is the first time you're here, which I think I recognize everyone in the chat, but if you're lurking and this is the first video of mine, you picked a great night to show up. But this is the way it works.
Better than this.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Professor's saying he's new. You are not, Jeff. Get out of here. But no, stick around. We're going to get started. This is the way it works. I just dropped the link to the screening room in the chat. So as long as this stream is going right now, this link is going to be valid. And it will let you watch my copy of SeaQuest 2032, Season 3, Episode 8, Resurrection. Once this is over, I remove this from the playlist, and I actually delete it off the hosting service that I'm using. That way, no one can even get a hold of this. This is 100% only active during this stream. And what it does is it effectively syncs us all up. So instead of us having to sit around and push the play button whenever, do a countdown and like, okay, I'm going to start everyone, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. And hopefully we hit the play button at the same time. And then if something happens, I have to pause and go take care of things. We're not all trying to pause and rewind at the same spot. We're all synced up at exactly the same time. No, Jeff, don't leave. Don't leave. Those poor words on my part. I apologize. I'm sorry, Jeff. I meant it metaphorically, not literally. I'm the worst.
Yep.
Sorry, Jeff. I am the worst. So yeah, you can come to the screening room. If you're watching this in the future, you're not going to have this available. You're going to either have to go to Peacock TV and sign up for one of their free accounts, which I mean, I honestly recommend it. It's free, and you get access to a lot of fun videos, and all for free. Like, you can sign up for their premium, and then you get certain movies and stuff that you don't get to see otherwise, like Harry Potter for those who like it. They have like the whole series up on Peacock TV. Otherwise, at least, if you just want the free account, you can watch SeaQuest all 3 seasons for free. If you don't want to do that, go over to Amazon. You can get the Blu-rays of it for, I think it was $50 for all 3 seasons. So it's pretty reasonable stuff to get a copy of this. If for any reason you don't want to do one of those things, you're not really concerned about seeing it, you're just here for John and mine's wonderful commentary as we watch this incredibly fun show, then don't worry, I got you covered. Once every 3 seconds, I have a program that grabs a still image with no sound from the show, and it strings it up into a video file. And we're going to be playing that right below so that you'll have some sort of reference, just so you can see more or less what's going on at that exact moment as we're talking about it. Which, I say that, but I am notorious for going off on tangents, and so odds are extremely high that I will not at all be talking about whatever's being shown on the video at any given point in time.
Well, thank
Thomas,
you, Jeff, by the way.
Thank you, Jeff. I'll take it. I will.
I don't know how wonderful it is, though.
Josh says, so Matthew, I'm not supposed to record your copy. Yes, please don't. And Thomas, $50 is reasonable for 3 seasons of a Blu-ray. You know what? Maybe the Blu-ray on Amazon was a little more than that, but it was still a very reasonable amount. So with all that said, hopefully you've had a chance to jump over to the screening room. I will give a quick 5 count so that if you're trying to sync things up in the future, you at least got somewhat of a chance. I say 5 count, I mean 3. I'll give you a 3 count. I'm not going to be that generous. So we are going to go ahead and get this episode going. Now, you may recall last week, I tried to guess what this week would be about.
You sure did.
Based off the title, Resurrection. And I guessed it was going to be a Jurassic Park scenario. That we were going to resurrect some extinct species. So just keep that in mind for like the first 5 seconds of this video and then quickly forget it. Okay? We're all on the same page? Even 10 seconds. Remember my prediction for the first 10 seconds. See how right it looks like I'm going to be. And then just forget everything I talked about. All right? I think good.
Standard procedure.
So here we go, guys. 3 count. 3, 2, 1. And hit that play button. So here we go. New England coast. October 2022.
Only a few months away.
Yeah, that's right. A few months away. And look, there's some sort of sea creature. I think it's a whale bones washed up on a shore. Maybe it looks something extinct. I think I'm right. I think I'm right about my prediction. And also, I suppose it's worth noting that that character, we have seen him before.
We have, in fact, seen this exact scene before.
Indeed, we have. And in fact, we've seen this scene not only previously in SeaQuest, but previously in Star Trek 4. But this is a season, I'm pretty sure it was a season 2 episode.
I think this was season 1.
Maybe? I don't know. I got a 50-50 chance of being right, so odds are I was wrong. But the premise of the episode was that Scarface guy, he decided that he was going to wage a private war against whalers because, you know, whalers are the worst people ever. Remember Star Trek 4?
Mm.
And he tried to fire on some whalers, but he missed and he hit a cargo ship. And as a result, you know, things went poorly for him. Apparently, he spent some time in jail, and now they're calling him ambassador. And he was talking about that this reef that they're passing right now that doesn't exist anymore used to be the most effective spot to find some specific compound that was the most effective thing for treating glaucoma, which amazingly was not THC. It was some other compound, like a plankton of some sort. And it's gone now. Unfortunately, the miners destroyed it. And, you know, O'Neill makes a comment about how I'm surprised you didn't bomb the miners in that case. But he's an ambassador now. He has his own private country under the sea. And, you know, O'Neill and Ford are going back and forth about how O'Neill hates the guy. And Ford, he's clearly not a fan of him. But at the same time, he's being objective, talking about how, well, look, he's an ambassador. We don't get to make choices at this point. It doesn't matter what he did in the past. He has immunity. But they're being shot at by someone. They're demanding that the ambassador is surrendered to him. But fortunately, they are just in range of the SeaQuest, and they fire the grapnel's torpedo. And they reel this attack sub in. Hey, Springtime, how you doing today? Sorry to hear that you got a stomach bug. Glad it's not the other thing going around right now. Although it could be. I've heard that one of the symptoms of the Omicron is lots and lots of vomiting.
Lovely.
Indeed. Fortunately, I didn't have that problem, but one of my friends, he and his family got it, and like he's the only one who's not vomiting right now. Like all his kids are just sick as dogs.
And so while Matthew was talking about all the vomiting, turns out the person on the attack sub was the captain's old fiance.
That's right. Who we saw earlier this season.
Yep.
Thomas is saying a lot of us have gotten Matthew 19 recently.
Yeah.
I do tend to get into people's systems in a bad way. Springtime wants to know, how is this show family friendly? Because I've seen the ambassador on Breaking Bad. Oh, really? I did not know that. Now, I meant to mention it a minute ago, but interestingly, the idea of there being one specific spot on Earth where some sort of something is able to thrive, that is the best treatment for something, actually exists. There's a lava tube over on the big island of Hawaii where the lichen that grows on the walls of the cave, it's the only place this lichen grows, and it is like the #1 treatment for a very specific type of cancer. So, I mean, it's a very a realistic scenario. And they only take 5 people into this lava tube every week. And they make a big deal about you are not allowed to touch the walls. Because if you touch the wall, it kills it, and it will never grow there again. Lichen. You know, that stuff. What grows on walls in darkness, but not mold. So his ex-wife is now a consultant to the Japanese office. She's basically Dog the Bounty Hunter. And she's pretty mad at Jellicoe for giving him protection, the ambassador. And he's being honest, like, look, my personal feelings about him are irrelevant. It doesn't matter what my thoughts on him are. I put on the uniform, I made a commitment. And she's not pleased about him talking about commitments because he left her at the altar twice. Which, yeah, a bit of bad form. Excuse me, the heater just turned on. I gotta shut this vent. Sorry, if I leave that vent open, I roast in here. I don't know how he knows this, but he's saying that Lewis has downloaded every last byte he can on Agatopia, the name of this colony that he's created, this country. Thomas, does she bounty hunt?
Paradise type of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it's supposed to be some kind of underwater paradise thing. That's all I was saying.
Yeah. And Thomas wants to know, does she bounty hunt? She claims to. So Jellicoe is trying to finally craft the announcement letter that Brody is dead. He's trying to tell the next of kin. And, you know, he's doing the standard, he was a gentleman and a scholar, it's my privilege to know him speech that you give whenever someone dies. Poor Piccolo. He wants to know if he made lieutenant. And he's like, hey, because remember last episode he was talking about getting ready to take the test. So he took the test and sorry, Piccolo, you didn't make it. And Jellicoe, he's like, you know, you're up against the best in the academy. But you'll do better next time. And he's like, you know, you'll based off what you learned. And Piccolo's feeling a little down for himself. He's like, well, clearly I didn't learn enough. But Jellicoe is saying, you'll get it. Don't be frustrated. And in the meantime, I'm going to recommend you to be a warrant officer. And obviously Piccolo's upset that he didn't make it, but he is thankful that, and you know, people are seeing his effort. He's gone from someone who apparently couldn't even read, which still makes no sense to me, to someone who's at least hopefully going to be a petty officer, chief petty officer at the end of this episode, if his recommendation goes through. So the ambassador is trying to make the big speech about how, oh, you know, y'all shoot with torpedoes as well, and you claim it's to save lives, and that's the same justification I use. So clearly we're the same. It's the exact same moral argument that I use. And it was just a facade so that he could get close enough to pop some sort of device onto the console of Henderson there. Then pulls it away when no one's looking. Springtime. So this is basically a SeaQuest Breaking Bad crossover via time travel. I don't think so. I can't prove it's not, though. And I'm not sure if it'll even take time travel. I mean, Breaking Bad was supposed to take place in modern day of a decade ago, right? So,
yes.
So I mean, this is technically just, he could have aged. I'm assuming he wasn't one of the people that died.
I don't know.
I don't know who the character is. I haven't watched Breaking Bad. I mean, I know the general premise of the guy who's dying and decides to make drugs and becomes very, very awesome at it. So Lewis is kind of torn at the moment. He's willing to look past the ambassador's past sins to see at the goal he's trying to do now. That it's a very praiseworthy goal. And Jellicoe is like, well, then I want you to go and observe him. Because Jellicoe's not buying it. He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's full of crap. Here we are. This is what the community looks like. And they're talking about how this is what all of the agricultural communities used to look like before science replaced nature with the hydroponic bays and whatnot. Which, I mean, the last place we were at with Brody, the one with the Seymour, the Little Shop of Horrors knockoff.
Yeah.
It looked pretty much like this as well. Thomas, what did you learn today? Matthew said making drugs is awesome. Pfizer certainly thinks so. It's a lucrative business model, especially when the state mandates. Springtime saying that Breaking Bad was made in the 2010s, and the actor who played Mike, apparently, used time travel to tell himself to guest star in SeaQuest. Well, he could have just lived another 12 years. He didn't have to time travel. No, we're in 2032 now. Excuse me.
Yes.
So maybe he had 22 years. So there's a red flag for you. He's still claiming, he's like, I used to be a good man until the world drove me to make an unforgivable act. So he has no remorse about the act, clearly. Like, he worded it such that Lewis is believing he had remorse, but if you pay attention to what he said, he's saying that it's not that the act was bad, it was that the outcome was bad, and that he was forced to make this act. Professor Matthew wants his channel taken down. Making drugs is good. Government-mandated drug taking. Well, if I wanted my channel taken down, I'd say that mandated drug taking was bad, but I'm not. I'm saying that that drugs are awesome. That should have the thumbs up from the powers what be. Natural fertilization. Picture of a cow on the front. Which I don't know. Would they still have cows?
Well, they said they got rid of cows because there's too much methane or whatever.
Right?
But I guess he still does stuff the natural way, so.
I mean, I guess maybe there's still cows. It's just that they don't produce enough of them to be used as a diet staple.
Yeah.
So you may miss it, but they were using the nuclear radiation device that Chekhov and Uhura used back in Star Trek 4 again. And of course, this is Jellicoe's wife. Never wife. Not even ex-fiance twice over. Left her at the altar twice. I wonder if that's really what an orange is supposed to look like when you take it off the tree. Because that is the greenest looking orange I've ever seen. I mean, for all I know, that's how they're supposed to look.
I know some fruits are harvested early because it takes so much time to transport them from the field to the stores or whatever.
Yeah, like bananas. Bananas are quite green. So she gets the drop on the ambassador here. But thankfully, Lewis sees what's going on. Only person on this entire place that sees the gun being pointed at the leader. But thankfully he does. Thomas is claiming that was Star Trek 5. No, that may have worked. Never. Remember, Star Trek 4 was one I grew up with. Any other Star Trek film would have worked within the past couple months, but not Star Trek 4. Now, meanwhile, while Lewis is doing his kumbaya at the Natural Animal Reserve, the SeaQuest the SeaQuest, if y'all caught my video the other day, the SeaQuest is on its way to some nuclear deposit or nuclear waste deposit, I believe they're saying. And they're pushing the engine so hard that they're concerned about it actually breaking down some containment on the engines. Basically, it's, look, you're just going to have to keep pushing it. We're going to have to risk losing containment on the engines, because if we don't push it and we can't get to this nuclear reserve quick enough, then people are going to be eating radioactive tuna. They get a call, Elaine Morris tried to kill me again. Come pick her up, Captain. So Jellicoe goes off in a little mini sub to pick up his ex-fiancée. Apparently she's going to be his responsibility forever. So initially he was going to turn a blind eye to her, because remember, she shot on their sub already. Mm-hmm. So he could have arrested her for shooting on the UEO sub, but he chose to employ nepotism and turn a blind eye. He's like, look, you forced my hand. He's going to press charges. I got to arrest you. But of course, just then, the ambassador was outside, apparently listening to the door, waiting to figure out when to come in. And he says he's not going to press charges. It's like, look, I get it. She's hung up. We used to date. It's just a personal thing for her. And apparently Jellicoe didn't know this. He seems a little annoyed. Meanwhile, Henderson's doing a wonderful I Dream of Jeannie impersonation. So Piccolo here has been tasked with cleaning up Brody's quarters by the captain, and he found a video disc, and Piccolo being Piccolo decided to read it, or watch it rather. And he has a child. And have we seen this actress? I was trying to place her from which episode?
Not that I recall.
The only lady I really remember him being interested in ended up being his mom.
Yeah.
There's a sentence for you. But they're all kind of having this Spock's Star Trek V moment. We're like, well, wow, we had no idea he had a son. He never told any of us. How well did we really know this guy? I thought we were close, and he hid something like having a son from us. And Henderson's saying that we were all his friend, but we didn't know. And Piccolo's like, well, it makes you wonder how much we knew about anyone, which is pretty fair. How much do you really know, man? So here they are at Freedom Point Seamount. You may recall Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, where they decided to take all the nuclear warheads and throw them into the sun. I think that's what they're trying to say they're doing with this. Like, I thought they said nuclear waste, but maybe they're saying that it's nuclear warheads.
Something like that.
I thought I was saying I'm pretty sure McCoy knew about Kirk's son. Did I say Kirk's son? I meant Spock's brother. I wouldn't doubt it if I said Kirk's son. Springtime is saying, remember everyone, Matthew's favorite movie is Star Trek V. Probably when he and Bird of Prey 5 are both drunk and very angry with Captain Kirk. I must have missed that part of the movie.
Probably blocked it out because of too many marshmallows.
Huh. Yeah, what about Spock's sister? There is no sister.
Only Zool.
Only Zool. But now at least we know what the ambassador's device was. By putting it on the console, they somehow got the protocols or left in a virus or something they were able to do to take over the SeaQuest. Kirk's son, Spock's brother. What's the difference? Exactly, Thomas. Now, amazingly, she was under arrest, and I guess they just had the most respectful security officers ever. And they did not pat her down. They just took her word for it, and she had a laser pistol in her boot. Now she's wondering if Jellicoe really thinks that she would risk her career, her life, everything, just to bring this guy down over nothing. To which I'd say yes. I 100% believe people would ruin their lives for horrible reasons. I mean, it certainly seems somewhat personal. And Jellicoe makes comments like, well, then why haven't you invaded... if this is just about the people he killed, then why haven't you invaded Macronesia for all the people they've killed? So, I mean, there's definitely a personal aspect to it, even if there is a larger reason for it. Springtime. Are me and Salty ever going to watch Superman 3 sober? I mean, I certainly will. Michael has to now. He's not allowed to drink that much with his medicine he needs to be taking. Every once in a while, I know that he's allowed a small bit of something to drink, but he's very responsible about that. Is that how it happened, Professor? Man, your memory would know better than I would, but apparently Life with Matthew and Spock's son befriended Kirk's brother in Star Trek 3. I had no idea.
That was a really moving scene.
I must have been really distracted trying to look up Jeffrey Goldsmith and Kirk Cameron being in The Last Starfighter.
Oh boy.
So this whole time, power's been diverted somewhere. The magnet constraints on the fusion reactor are going bad. They can't figure out where the power's going, and then they finally figure it out. It's been going to the weapon array. The lasers are shooting at over 150% of their normal power output. Now, I could have sworn they said in this episode that this was a nuclear waste repository. And it was never supposed... Because they make a point about when the UEO set this up. They made a point of saying that no nuclear radiation would ever leak from this structure. And Jellicoe made a point of like, well, never say never. Which, fair enough. You pick places that are largely seismically stable. You bury it so deep that in theory it can never seep into the water table, but you always have backup plans. But they make it sound like it's supposed to be a nuclear waste repository. In which case, the ambassador's attempt to cause a nuclear explosion by shooting lasers at it. There he said it. He said nuclear waste. So yes, this is nuclear waste. That's not how nuclear waste works. Nuclear waste is inert. Now, at least in America, like in France, they do a process of refinement where you get your nuclear waste, you put it through heavy water, and it briefly spends some time as weapon grade, which is why they don't like it here in America. But by doing this, you're able to refine and recycle and reduce and reuse until you have like the size of a glass marble amount of nuclear waste. Whereas in America, since we're not allowed to do that heavy water processing, we end up getting drums and drums of nuclear waste. The point being, though, it's inert and it's not going to explode. Like the danger is it leaking into water supplies and you being irradiated. There is no danger from this stuff exploding. So this plot makes no sense, is what I'm getting at. But I can do a quick rewrite in my head and say that this isn't nuclear waste. It's supposed to be like old nuclear stockpiles, the UEO. People trying to de-escalate the nuclear provisions, which makes a lot more sense for the show anyway. In which case, they actually would be dangerous. Springtime saying, remember Matthew's first wife, that the current wife is always making fun of him for... Was Michael and Spock's sister? Springtime, I'm not sure if that sentence really works there. Although my dad loved to make the joke that he had 2 children from his first wife and then 2 more from his current wife. The joke being he was only ever married to my mom, and they had 4 children. And so what he was saying was technically true, but it always... My mom hated that joke. She hated it so much. But my dad loved to tell people it. But Jellicoe, he does believe his ex-fiancée twice over that the ambassador is responsible for them not being able to get a hold of SeaQuest at the moment. And she points out that while she was there, she saw them, the Chekhov nuclear device ended up being a nuclear scanner, a radiation detector. And she said that she saw them scanning a drilling sub crew for nuclear radiation. So clearly, the ambassador had sent people from his colony to the Freedom Point, or Freedom Seamount, to drill into it, to create the leak, just so the SeaQuest would be sent, just so they could take control. Which, I mean, as far as evil plans go, this one actually tracks pretty well. Like, it's not that convoluted. They knew the SeaQuest was in the area. They knew how to get it exactly to where they wanted. And the ambassador knew how to get on the ship. Like, there were very few points of possible failure for this. But there's a wrench being thrown in the ambassador's plan. They didn't realize that the SeaQuest would push its engines this hard, and as a result, the reactor is about to fail completely before they're able to laser their way through the protective barrier and actually get to the nuclear material. So Lewis needs to somehow get in and save the day. And thankfully, the best person available is there to pick up the phone. And it's Dagwood. My mind went blank there for a second. I know, shocker.
I was wondering what name you were going to come up with.
But I like this because when they first introduced Dagwood, they made a point of talking about how the daggers were going to blow up the giant HEPA filters that were cleaning the air. Because if they did that, the humans would die, but the daggers would live because they could survive on much, much less oxygen. Mm-hmm. And so that's exactly what we're seeing here, that Dagwood is like, yeah, I'm fine. Everyone else has passed out, but I'm still awake. Josh wants to know, why am I not in this episode? I'm not in any of the episodes.
When Darwin's giving Dagwood a chance to save the day. He likes to share.
Dagwood. He's not thrilled about what he's being asked to do right now. Oh, I am Darwin. Fake news. I'm not Darwin. But the idea that they're going for here is that by taking one of these missiles of theirs, they can generate an EMP that will create a new magnetic field, or kind of reboot the magnetic field around the nuclear reactor. Which, I mean, as far as things go, I think an EMP might cause more damage to electronics, but hey, okay. They need to give a magnetic field a boost of energy. Fine. It's not the worst science I've heard this week. I've been listening to early Voyager. I've heard much worse science. But it worked. The EMP was able to stabilize the fusion core. And unfortunately, the EMP did knock out his PAL device, his comm unit. But, I mean, it saved the ship. Poor Lewis. Totally clueless. He's over here praising the ambassador. Oh, it wasn't me that saved the day. It was you. Your fast acting and fast thinking saved the day. But Lewis goes off, and the ambassador turns around. And he's like, okay, take the ship back over. Turn it back around, because it was coming here. Lewis had set the autopilot, so turn it back around. And, keep the life support low. I don't want them to suffocate. I just want them to die in the fiery explosion that's going to create a new nuclear holocaust. Not the best word to use on YouTube in hindsight.
Breaking news, new YouTube show. Bashing Trek with Salty and Matthew.
It's not my fault that there's bad plot holes in a series that I love. But yeah, I definitely point out all the plot holes in my Overthinking Voyagers show. But I also talk about all the great things, and good and bad. I'm a balanced guy. Well, that's a lie. In this respect, I'm a balanced guy. I don't know who he's talking about with this scene, by the way. The ambassador is talking about how can you trust in a political system where they appoint a mass murderer as their savior.
I think he's telling about the fact that he was made the leader of this underwater colony here.
You think he's talking about himself?
That's the impression that I got.
Huh. So his plan is, I can't stand eco T words. His plan is that by blowing up the nuclear reserves or nuclear waste and triggering a holocaust, then eventually all the people in his colony that are, under the sea and therefore protected will, whenever the nuclear radiation dies away, will repopulate the surface, except they will have spent generations understanding how to care for the land, which is just nonsense. It's not just generations. They'll be spending thousands of years as the nuclear fallout dies away. And he's likening himself to Moses, a man who is willing to sacrifice something for the greater good, which goes to show that he didn't know his biblical history very well either.
You're not alone, Dagwood. Darwin's still there.
I bet he really enjoyed rubbing his head sweat all over his brother's hand.
I'll bet.
I mean, it seemed like he was taking an extra long time and doing some extra rubs. He's like, you can't move. Yeah, you're just going to have to take this. But yes, of course, Dagwood's not alone. Darwin is here to save the day. He's like, okay, Dagwood, you did a good job, but the cavalry's here.
Yep.
Fortunately, Lewis is able to distract everyone with a resounding speech. So this is how you're going to drown out the hundreds of voices you killed on the ship with the screams of a million voices. And eventually, he pushes just enough for the ambassador to snap and, Dog the bounty hunter over here. I guess technically she'd be Beth, Dog's wife. But Beth and Jellicoe are able to take down the guards. Josh, I had to steal the spotlight. I'm still not Darwin. Now, unfortunately, they're kind of too far gone. Even if they stop the lasers at this point, it seems like they're hitting the point of an uncontrolled reaction where it has enough heat built up where it's going to just keep building up until it explodes. So he's like, okay, well, what you need to do is we need to find enough graphite to slam into this to absorb the neutrons or neutrinos to cool down the system. Which, okay. I'll accept that. Again, not the worst science I've listened to this week. And in the meantime, they're able to boost the oxygen levels a little bit. Everyone gradually wakes up, powering up the SeaQuest. Where did Piccolo get rosy-colored glasses and all this?
One of that's supposed to be a reference to when Hudson gave him some glasses that's supposed to help him with reading or something.
Oh, yeah. That must be it. So Jellicoe was able to commandeer a sub that was in the area that was just loaded with graphite. And they are just going to slam this right into the nuclear waste, I guess. Which, I mean, if you think about it, if it's just a giant mass of nuclear waste, then it should just be leaking out into the ocean at this point. You know?
Yeah.
But hey, they're saying it's all contained. They slam it into the glowing weak spot. You know, kind of video game rules. You find the glowing spot. That's where you hit. And it works. Your sub's gone. Someone's out a lot of money on graphite. But hey, it's not nuclear winter for the rest of our lives. So fair trade.
Yeah.
And Elaine, she was going to get a second chance to be a bounty hunter. She turned it down for some reason. She's bored of that. But she says, you know, I've always thought you looked good with that uniform on. Can't imagine you in anything else. Which I guess was supposed to be a bit of a diss, but at the same time, maybe she was trying to say like she imagined him without anything else. You know, kind of some witty banter between ex-lovers.
Mm.
So he got the upgrade or promotion to warrant officer. And he starts to tell this story about how his dad used to work at a donut shop. And, you know, even though he left home when he was 8, which I feel like contradicts a previous episode where he actually saw his dad and his mom looked like she was 30 again. And Henderson's like, why are you telling me all this? He says, well, because someday I might fly off in a Spectre and never come back. Brody died amongst strangers and I don't want that. Which, you know, that's sweet of him, though. There might be better ways than just to show up in her quarters and start doing a info dump. You should know you never pull a Matthew. You give people a little chance to shift to the subject. Hey, Salty Trekker, how you doing? I says, hey there is a new show bashing Trek. Sounds great. No, it's not bashing Trek. It's not. And then, so there she goes. All's done here. So that was the episode. John, what were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was an interesting episode. I know there's I'm trying to remember what was that word you used in one of your videos, the eco puppies, referring to Scully's plan. I thought it was interesting that they brought back a character from one of the earlier seasons. And it is relatively consistent with the views he expressed in the original episode. You know, it's always good to have Darwin come in, even just to provide moral support.
Indeed. Did I already release the Eco Puppies one, or is that the one that's coming next week? I think that might be...
Maybe, I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's next week, is time and again. So, yes, look forward to that, everyone, next week. Next Monday, for Overthinking Voyager, I'm going to be talking about some Eco Puppies. Wink, wink.
Mm. Where were the dinosaurs?
Like I said, only remember that for the first 10 seconds, Thomas. You're still... No, the show's over. I just asked for 10 seconds. And Thomas is saying... I was saying mean things about Amy earlier. No, I was saying great things about Amy. I was saying mean things about me.
You're blaming her for delaying SeaQuest, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not horrible. This is the truth. Oh, and Salty's saying I missed Laura saying some really horrible things in my show. I'll have to watch that. I always have to watch it late because, you know, I'm doing this while you do your Fat Overlord show, which sounds mean. It sounds like I'm calling you a bunch of fat overlords, but that's the name of his show. That is not me being mean to him. I do agree, though, John. I thought this was an interesting episode. Obviously, I have quibbles about the idea of nuclear waste going critical. I feel like that just shows that most people don't know what nuclear waste even is. But that's a nitpick. I can do a quick rewrite in my head because I can appreciate what they were trying to say and accept that, you know what, I'm going to call them out for not saying the right thing, but I understand what they're trying to say. In fact, I think I said that in one of, it might have been, yeah, it was just yesterday's. I was talking about how they talked about going somewhere at full impulse, and they went 1.2 light years, which I said 1.2. Harry Kim said 1.4. I just messed up what he said, per my usual self. But I was like, you know what? They said full impulse, which is sublight, but I can accept the fact that what they meant was a low warp speed. So I feel like there's an important, as fans, it's like, okay, we need to accept that they make mistakes and recognize the point they're going for instead of just being like, oh, they said this, everything's wrong now. But at the same time, there are points where it's like, you're just wrong about everything you're saying. Like, you don't even know what you're trying to say at this point, which is how I would describe a lot of Discovery. That's right, Professor. You have come to expect it.
He does know about waste.
I do know about waste. I know so much about waste. Fascinating stuff, waste. Now, the waste I know more about is not nuclear waste. I only have a passing familiarity with that. It is human waste that I know so much about, having worked at some wastewater treatment plants in the past. Which, I mean, hey, you ever take the time to learn how the wastewater treatment plants work? Fascinating subject. You're going to be like, this is the dumbest thing ever going into it. And then you're going to be like, wow, there's actually a lot of cool science that goes on in this.
I'll take your word for it.
Maybe I'll do a video on it one day. I'm sure anyone joining my channel for the Overthinking Voyager that's what they want to see. Absolutely. They're like, yes, Star Trek and wastewater treatment plants. That's what I'm here for. Or not.
Yeah.
Thomas is saying, I lied about her making me sleep on the sofa. No. Okay, halfway. I did lie about that. But I did correct it later on. To just know I volunteer to sleep on the sofa whenever I'm having nasal issues, stuffed up nose. Professor Funny, you're Krogan, but you know so much about waste, like you find in Kyrgyzstan. Yeah, I'm a man of mystery. At least people say I'm confusing, mysterious. I think it all works out to the same thing. So yeah, overall, I think it was an interesting episode. It was one of those episodes where Lewis respects the scientific achievement of someone only for that person to be the scum of the earth, which unfortunately happens quite a bit to Lewis. He did it with Tuvok. He did it with that one guy who, you know, he fell in love with her daughter, was ready to quit being in the UEO entirely, really admired her dad, and then it turned out her dad was just another one of these eco puppies. So that seems to be his lot in life, to respect great men of science who end up being eco puppies. In fact, even Krieg kind of... no, I can't say he was ego puppy. He was desperate to get people to safety.
All right.
But that doesn't count. But I did like that this was another one of those episodes where Lewis, because it's an interesting concept and one that I've talked about in the past of take someone like Bill Cosby, someone who is admitted to doing heinous acts against women. Does that mean that you can't enjoy his comedy? For decades, he did a wholesome TV show. He did hilarious stand-up routines. Is all that negated from the bad things he did? I'm not going to answer that question. I don't have an answer for that question. I'm only asking the question. I think that episodes like this one want you to be thinking about that very question, where you have someone like the ambassador who had a noble goal of promoting a more organic way of life, where people understood the cost of producing basic food like fruit. Whereas, right now everything's grown off and it's not even farm raised anymore. It's science lab grown. And Krieg made a big point of that. Like, look at this orange. And, everyone's like, what is an orange? She's like, no, it's not an orange. It is a lab grown, organic or orange-like substance. It's never bruised. It's always perfect. Everything's manufactured at this point. And so the scientist had a lot of praiseworthy things, but at the end of the day, he was not a praiseworthy person. And I like that these episodes make you think about that distinction. Thomas is saying he pled not guilty. How is that admitting? Before he pled not guilty, he did come out and admit it. He legit was like, yeah, I did it. And it was only several months later that he ended up pleading not guilty, which I don't understand how that's supposed to work. It's like, what? Why? What do you mean you plead not guilty? You already told everyone you did it. But he did. He 100% confessed to doing it. It's just he's now saying like that confession didn't count, and apparently legally it didn't. Which I don't know. The law doesn't make sense to me sometimes. I'm definitely not claiming to understand the law. Well, John, any other thoughts about this week's episode?
There was another solid episode from the third season. I enjoyed it.
The third season has just been phenomenal about having good episodes. I feel like it's more actiony than I personally before. The heck me. Prefer. It's more actiony than I prefer. But then you have an episode like this one. And even Equilibrium, the last week's episode. They were both not super action pew 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 lasers. They were just good. Let's think about a scientific or not necessarily scientific, but like a human aspect, which is one of the reasons I really liked season 1 of SeaQuest so much. It really was TNG Under the Sea, where there's something somewhat scientific going on in the background, but the point of each episode was to examine the human condition. So I like that this season seems to be kind of going that more think about things. Like it certainly has action. I mean, they have the time constraint of the nuclear waste blowing up. There is 100% action in this episode, but it's framed against that human condition. I mean, how many times was Geordi racing against, if not the Enterprise blowing up, something that would result in everyone dying at the end of the day? Like, oh, if we don't hurry, we're going to be stuck in this subspace vacuole forever. If we're about to lose energy, we need to figure out how to stop the energy drain, or else we're going to be dead in space. Salty saying that it was a Kurogan confession that Cosby did. Yeah, clearly. Fingers crossed behind the back sort of thing. And then Professor Brainy Specs is saying that the third season gets a bad rap because it doesn't have Bridger as the captain. I believe that. I think that was definitely a big factor. And like we said previously, or we talked about a long time ago at this point now, SeaQuest had the unfortunate issue of not figuring out what it was supposed to be. Like season 1, it was very much TNG Under the Sea. Season 2, it turned into this action show, and like half the cast got replaced. And then here we are in season 3, and it's finding this balance between action and TNG Under the Sea. And so, it's changing up its cast. So it's like, it had such a hard time. And I think that kind of like Enterprise, if it had been able to get past that death nail that it got in season 3, I think it could have gone on to have several more seasons. Now for SeaQuest, the death nail was in season 2 instead of season 3, but same sort of concept. Thomas is saying, "Don't worry, Jeff. Matthew will be nice to it like he is to Trek shows." I gotta call out silliness for being silly, Thomas. That doesn't mean I don't like it. I love Voyager. That's why I started doing my overthinking Voyager. But yes, there are so many moments where I'm like, that makes no sense. And I point out, and I have fun pointing it out. I will not make apologies for that. But I do love Voyager a lot. And hopefully you do hear not just me pointing out the bad stuff, but me pointing out specifically scenes from like, I love this scene, I love this reaction, I love this camaraderie going on here. Because there's a lot of it that I put into my overthinking videos I put out.
I was going to say, yes, Professor, if it makes sense that Matthew would like a show that doesn't make sense.
It's true. It's true. Thomas saying you love Voyager. Well, you fooled me. Well, Thomas, no, you're missing the point. Then I apologize. But I absolutely love Voyager. But I am going to be calling them out on things that are scientifically screwy and bad cuts. Like just because the show has a bad cut, and I'm calling it out. Like the hands up here, and then it cuts to looking behind them. And all of a sudden the hands like down by their sides, and it looks at their front again and their hands up again. I'm going to call that out because that's a bad edit. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean I'm not enjoying the show. It just means I've watched it so much that I can notice moments like this.
I don't usually notice stuff like that. I'm just not paying attention close enough to that sort of thing.
Josh is saying I should do what I'm doing with Voyager with Discovery so we can see on the floor drooling. Well, no, I use this pointer finger, Jeff. I couldn't do it with Discovery. I absolutely could not do this with Discovery because the only reason I do it with Voyager is I've watched it over and over and over and over again. I've watched Discovery once, and then I watched it a second time, to torture myself with Michael when we did the hot sauce challenge stuff. I'm never watching it again. It's not going to be in my collection. Thomas, false. I made a video on one of the short treks. It was one about Michael Burnham getting the story. Like she was a child and her dad came in and was telling her a story. And I recorded and sent Michael all my lines for it, and it was never released. So I didn't quit on Michael. I'm still waiting for that one to be put out. So hotty ha. Oh,
you will wait for that long when you finish Nomad.
Exactly. I need to finish that. I have like 90% done. I just got to get that stuff ordered. Yeah, Thomas, that's what I'm talking about. The good, bad, and ugly STD reviews. Yeah, I actually did one. Oh, the computer died and that recording was lost. I will send it to you again. I think I still have it. Oh no, that means the last of the Darren, you and me was lost too, wasn't it? Like the three of us gotten together on on StreamYard one day, and we talked about our top 3 favorite episodes from TOS. And by pure coincidence, we ended up choosing our 3rd favorite from season 3, our 2nd favorite from season 2, and our number 1 favorite from season 1, I think it was. And then we talked about some honorable mentions, and it was a blast just hanging out with them and talking about this. Oh, he's saying yes. That sucks so much, Michael. I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. That was a fun thing to do. We should do it again. I'd say about... The problem is, like, when you get to shows like TNG, and you have 7 seasons to sift through, I could pick my top favorite. Like, I know what my top favorite episode of TNG is. It's the one... I'm going to get made fun of because I always get his name wrong. Spock's dad. Sarek.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, yes! I almost said Zurek. I'm like, stop. That's not it. I'm like, I think it's it. I'm pretty sure it's it, but I'll say it wrong anyway, and you'll see I'm right. Sarek. Where his mind is breaking down, and he does the mind meld with Picard, and it is one of 3 scenes in all of TNG where Patrick Stewart is allowed to just show off his acting chops. And those 3 scenes are that episode where he's breaking down from the mind meld. The other one is from... it's the episode when he goes home after being assimilated. It's like... what is it called? Brothers or...
family.
Yeah, family. A little on the nose. Family. And he gets into a fight with his brother, and they're rolling around in the mud, and they finish, and he just starts weeping, like, the Borg took everything from me. I was supposed to be strong, I was supposed to resist, and they took everything. And then the third one, of course, is Chains of Command. With there are 4 lights. Salty, no, Picard was never given a chance to show off his acting chops in Code of Honor. But those are the 3 scenes where Picard was just massively able to show off his acting ability. But they're saying Code of Honor is my favorite.
That's well established.
That is well established. You're not allowed to lie on YouTube. I said it once, I'm pretty sure, and so that makes it the truth. Yep, I can't argue it. Oh, John, final thoughts. Let's wrap this up here.
Well, thank you for doing these SeaQuest reviews. Have been a lot of fun. I'm curious what you think about what next week's episode might be about.
Yes, season 3, episode 9. It is called Good Soldiers. I'm gonna say this is an episode examining the morality of following orders, even when those orders are having you do things that might be atrocious. Outside chance of this being a trial episode. I mean, still going to be looking at should you follow orders, but the possibility shifting from it being live action, are we doing the right thing, to someone being put on trial over past actions they did. And maybe at some point we're going to hear the phrase, I was just following orders, come up. That's my guess for next episode. And thank you. Thank you to me for my donation. Sometimes you just got to put $1 in the guitar case to kind of prompt others to put in another $1. But I did tip myself and I said, hi diddly ho. I sure do love those dark aliens in Code of Honor. They are the best aliens ever. I love how spooked they are about holodeck people and stuff. Did I mention they are dark? Yes, that's Code of Honor, everyone.
I think you did.
That is Code of Honor.
Tasha Yar's finest moment.
I tell you, I would say you make one mistake, but technically I just make the same mistake like 100 times. The episode sounded like it was going to be a Worf episode, which the Worf episode I was thinking of came a couple episodes later. But I had already said how great, I had raved about how great Code of Honor was. So that's it. I mean, that's the truth for all time. Matthew raved about Code of Honor. Darn it. Thomas Foss saying, Matthew, you should try and say that again, but more seriously. No. If I want my channel around, I don't think I should repeat that at all. Say more, definitely not more seriously.
At least let's finish SeaQuest before we get his channel shut down.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's be a little intelligent here. Oh gosh, guys, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I do look forward to seeing you same time next week as we do watch season 3, episode 8, Good Soldiers. We are so close to the end here. We're in the last like six episodes here. 5 episodes. Yeah, this was the 6th episode, so yeah, just 5 episodes left. Yeah, Professor saying Rip Babylon 5. It might be. I hope it is not. We will quickly find out what sort of work-life balance I can achieve here, and hopefully we get to do it anyway. But we'll find out. But until then, guys, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will, and be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.